What if I told you that some of your most powerful prayers were the ones you never finished? What if, in your weakest moment, when you couldn't even find the words, He was already speaking for you? Most people think prayer only works when it's eloquent, structured, strong. But what if your broken prayer is the one heaven listens to the most? Stay with me, because in the next few minutes, you're going to understand why your silence may be louder than your words, why weakness is not spiritual failure, and how asking for one thing can change everything. This is 3 Biblical Dots, where we connect the unseen. And today, we're talking about what happens when you don't know how to pray. Dot 1. When you are weak, you are not alone. Romanos 8:26. There's a verse most people read but don't fully understand. Romans 8:26 says that the Spirit helps us in our weakness. Notice something powerful. It doesn't say when you are strong. It doesn't say when your faith is perfect. It says in weakness. And then it says something even deeper. We do not know how to pray as we should. Let that sink in. Sometimes you don't even know what to ask. You're confused, you're overwhelmed, you're exhausted. And in that moment, the Spirit intercedes for you. Intercedes. That means He speaks on your behalf. When your voice trembles, He doesn't. When your mind is chaotic, He is clear. When you are empty, He is full. But here's the question most people miss. If the Spirit helps us, why do so many still feel disconnected? We'll get there. Stay with me. This is the first dot. Weakness is not rejection. Weakness is invitation. And at 3 Biblical Dots, we connect what most people overlook. Dot 2. Ask for the Spirit. Lucas 11:13. Now here's the second connection. Jesus says in Luke 11:13 that the Father gives the Holy Spirit to those who ask. To those who ask. This changes everything, because many people pray for money, solutions, escape, relief. But Jesus says, ask for the Spirit. Why? Because if the Spirit is the one who intercedes, and the Spirit is the one who aligns your heart, then the real prayer isn't for outcomes, it's for alignment. Let that sink in. Most frustration in prayer comes from misalignment. We ask with fear, we ask with anxiety, we ask with desperation. But when you ask for the Spirit, you're asking for clarity, you're asking for transformation, you're asking for heaven's perspective. And when heaven changes your perspective, everything changes. And this leads to the third dot, the most misunderstood promise in the Bible. Stay until the end, because this is where faith becomes dangerous in the best way. This is 3 Biblical Dots. Dot 3. When your will matches His. Matthew 21:22. Matthew 21:22 says, whatever you ask in prayer, believing, you will receive. At first glance, that sounds unlimited, but here's what most people ignore. Believing is not forcing God's hand. Believing is trusting His will. When you seek first the kingdom, when you ask for the Spirit, when your heart is aligned, then what you ask flows from that alignment. And suddenly, you're not praying against God's will. You're praying within it. That's when prayer becomes powerful. Not because you control heaven, but because heaven is shaping you. And when heaven shapes you, your prayers shift, your desires shift, your fears shift. And what you ask is no longer rooted in panic, but in trust. This is the third dot. Alignment unlocks confidence. If you've ever cried without words, if you've ever whispered, I don't even know what to say anymore, this message is for you. You were never praying alone, even in silence, especially in silence. If this connected with you, comment one word: alignment. And if you want more biblical connections like this, subscribe to 3 Biblical Dots. Because sometimes the most powerful truths are hidden between the verses.